Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And we have the return of the Heavenly Conquest Storm Dragon event versus Veldora. This is I would say, a medium to high difficulty stage, depending on, what level of box you're at and how long you've been playing. It's got a few gimmicks. You get 50 crystals just from clearing it. There is a bingo board attached to this as well, which might be a little bit more brutal to people than what you want it to be. Win Conquest with Benimaru in a battle slot, Shion, Shuna, Veldora, Rimuru, Diablo, Soe, Gobta. I mean, these are all characters that have received free-to-play units at some point, except for Soe. He doesn't have a free-to-play unit. It's a protector, but he's not going to fit in a battle slot. So, I mean, there are units that you can use, and I think, well, New Year's Blessing can cover a few of these, right? But, yeah, there's only one board. You get a 10% EX ticket off of it, plus you get the Part 3 medals, so, I mean, that's cool, I guess. But let's go through and look at what he does, because he does a number of things. So he's got 1,000,000 HP. This is not any different from when he showed up last year in December or something like that. He's got 10,900 defense, 7,000 attack. He is stun resistant and poison resistant. Now you can lower the stun resistance with Light Lumi if you want to. He's much weaker to physical attacks than magic, so New Year's Blessing probably is going to run the fence on this. But he gives himself guaranteed crit, guaranteed pierce, and magic attack. He gives himself an ult, he gives himself extra magic attack, extra crit damage, extra pierce power, and guard penetration. He gives himself guaranteed counters for one turn, with a 20% chance to be a super counter while guarding. So this is a killer turn right here. And then he also poisons, frostbites, and binds someone, and he can heal, and he applies Drago, which just increases the power of all these buffs he's doing up here. So he has a lot going on. Now, since this is not the first time this Veldora has shown up, I already have 3 different videos with teams that I used to clear this. I will have these linked in the video description so you can check them out. So we're not going to use the teams that I already used. We're going to use teams that have come out after, after December of 2023. So, like New Year's Blessing, Exalted Champions, all the blue stacking teams, like, most of these can get the job done if you have a semi-complete team to use. Again, 1,000,000 HP sounds like a lot, but, I mean, we just got Soe, and this Ogre's Pride team does 30 million. So, power creep is insane, and this Veldora did not go with the times. So, let's build the first team, and let's try them out, and let's clear some bingo missions. Alright, first up is going to be the New Year's Blessing team. We've got Protector Shion, Rimuru, free-to-play Diablo, Shinsha, and Milim, and then we're going to bring Dark Shion, since we do need a Shion for one of the bingo missions, and this Shion also has Poison Evasion. If she's skill fused, it's for 5 turns. If she's not, like mine is, it's only 1 turn, but you only really need it for 1 turn with this team. So we've got the mission for Shion, Diablo, and Rimuru checked off for this team. I just gotta find where we actually start the real run. Okay, so I mean, if you've ever used a New Year's team, it's very simple to use. We don't even use Shion's big time buff. It's only the 4 primary New Year's units. So turn 1, we don't have a good hand to send to Rimuru, so we're just going to burn some orbs. Shion will give us extra points. Now we have a good hand to send away to Rimuru, because everyone up front is New Year's Blessing. So we'll send away, we'll rainbow these orbs, and then we'll bring in Shion now, and use her poison dodge skill, because it happens on turn 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You're still going to get binded, but you're not going to get poisoned, and you'll still actually get frostbite as well. So, alright, we'll take the ult. Does, decent amount of damage. There's frostbite, but we missed the poison, so we're not going to take as much damage. But we're binded, so we can't really do anything. This is why we left Shinsha up front, so we could ult swap away. We can bring somebody else in, though. Right, because only 2 units get binded. So we're going to bring Milim in. We'll use the future hand of oranges, and we'll use the attack buff from Rimuru because it lasts for multiple turns, and then we'll use Shion. Now, Rimuru's weakness strike doesn't matter here because we're not type advantage, we're type neutral. So that has no effect whatsoever. But we're still going to benefit off the attack buff and the guaranteed crit, guaranteed synergy. So here, if I was smart, I would use the alt swap now before sending him away. But we have an extra Shion to use, and we're going to get it back by sending the 6, so it's not that big of a deal. We just want to make sure that we have enough points next turn to use both the buffs from Shinsha and Milim and also the crit resistance down skill. And now we also have the EX alt for Shinsha, which is going to be kind of important, because Rimuru by himself doesn't do quite enough damage. So we take that alt. Shinsha's almost dead, but this is the turn that we're going to nuke. So Diablo doesn't have an alt, we don't need it. So we're just checking to make sure I have points. So now we're going to bring Rimuru in after we use the crit resistance down. There we go. 20% crit resistance down. This is the turn where he super guards and counters guaranteed, so the only thing you want to do is send alts or just send like one orb. But for here, we're just going to nuke. So buff, 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 Shion. We're going to send the 2 weaker characters first, and then Rimuru and the follow-ups. Milim does 120, okay. Shinsha, 276, even better. And Rimuru, 516. So even with all those buffs, Rimuru was only going to do half Veldor's HP, so we definitely needed those other 3 alts to go ahead and clear this fight. But New Year's Blessing can do it. This is 3 missions, well, technically 4, because we cleared it for the first time, right? This is 4 missions checked off the bingo. Let's move on. Alright, the next team is the Tempest Elite team. Not a very enjoyable team to use. Not my most favorite. But we do have Gobta, Benimaru, Shuna, and Rimuru. So this is 4 missions in of itself right here. So this is very good for clearing the bingo board. You probably won't have it unless you've gotten very incredibly lucky on the Season 3 Part 3 banner that just came out a couple days ago. They are featured on that, so I mean, some people may have pulled them. But Gobta's the free-to-play character. We brought 2nd Anniversary Hinata because she is very good for this team, and for Rimuru specifically. He's our primary damage dealer. And he's got the Greater Burn effect, which is going to come in real handy very soon. Okay, so if you've never used Trainee before, what she does is she passively gives you 30 skill points for the first couple turns, like Shion and Belzar do. She rushes the alt gauge of the highest attacking character, which is going to be Rimuru, by 100%. So if you use Trainee twice, that's an EX alt for your character. She also has makes blues have extra skill point gain. And she does the fire attack follow-up orbs, which you'll see if you don't understand that string of words. I will explain it to you very shortly. Shuna, if your whole front line is Tempest Elite, will change every single orb to blue, which is what we want. And now we have a double Trainee, which means that Rimuru is now going to have his EX ult. And we have 92 points. We're binded in, though, so we can't really do much about that. But we don't get the ult, like, immediately. It's going to come in next turn, because all she does is give us the gauge right here. So we have enough points to do that, and full orb change with Shuna again, and just making sure what the 30 skill points actually get off of that. So we're going to do that, and we're going to use the Pierce buff from Shuna, because it lasts for 3 turns. Guaranteed Pierce and 30% Pierce power isn't a lot, but it does last for a while. We brought Hinata in, so the next turn we can buff Rimuru with the Hinata buff and send her away. And then the only thing we have to worry about is the Benimaru buff and then Rimuru's own skills. So these are the follow-up orbs. They take part after your normal orbs are sent. They're fire attribute, so we're type neutral here. But it will count towards the burn effect that we're going to use before we swap Rimuru away here. So we've used the element buff from Hinata. We're going to bring in Benimaru. And we're going to bring in Gobta after we use the Greater Burn, because it lasts for 2 turns and it does stack. So if I use it twice, that's an extra 60% additional damage based on the amount of fire damage we do, which we're going to nuke with the fire character, and the follow-up orbs are fire orbs. So all of that will combine together to make a very powerful burn effect, and that's going to win us the fight, actually. So this turn, I really don't care about. We just need enough points to use a few things. So, take the alt. Okay, that sucks. This is the counter turn again, but we're going to nuke, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to bring Rimuru in for well, not Gobta. We're going to bring her in for Shuna, because we already used her buff. So now, we can physical buff with Benimaru, also ult resistance down. We can attack and ult damage, and then another 30% burn from Rimuru. And now we'll apply Trainee, who's going to make all of our orbs have follow-up fire attacks. So, we're going to send the ult. We're going to send these two, just these three? Okay. So Rimuru's ult does, and we watch it, because I haven't seen this ult in like 6 months or something like that, since they came out. But, I mean, it's not my most favorite team, but it can get the job done. He does 478k. It's not, like, that much damage. It is almost as much as what, New Year's Blessing Rimuru did, which is saying something. But then the follow-up orbs, that's not a fire. But then Rimuru's is a fire orb. 16k, and he guarded it. But now, there's the single target follow-up orb from the ult, so 96k extra, plus these orbs. And then the burn kicks in. The 60% burn from these two stacks does another 364,000 damage, because it's 60% of the total amount that we did from fire attacks, which includes the ult from Rimuru, the follow-up orbs, and that one orb that we sent for Rimuru. The Benimaru orbs normally don't count, but the follow-ups that came for them do count. It's kind of confusing. Follow-up teams are not very good, generally, but, I mean, this team does clear 4 missions by itself, so it is good for doing that, if you can run it. Third team to show is the Primal Demon team. Protector Violet, free-to-play Misery, Space Jean, who's from the Visions of Coleus team, Diablo, and then we're going to bring Earth Guy, because even though we have Diablo and Misery to change greens and oranges, respectively, we need someone to do the in-between. So that's what Guy's here for. He's Primal Demon, he's physical. He's also going to give guaranteed crits to Blanc and the ult damage, but, it saves us from having to use Jean's, even though hers is 30%, 20% more. We're going to get guaranteed crits off Guy. And then we've got Blanc herself to nuke. That'll work really well with Protector Violet, because we can use multiple stacks of her skills if we have enough points for it. So this team can get the job done. And, would you look at that, we need Guy's orb change turn 1. If we only had Diablo and Misery, couldn't have really done much about that. But we brought Guy for this exact purpose. Even if we get like 1 orange and 1 green, it still would have, it would have been fine. But here, we're going to bring Blanc in. Both of her skills start at 0 cost, so we can use them now. Or we could forget about them like an idiot. So, I mean, if you wanted to not be an idiot, use Blanc's 0 cost skills turn 1, because they don't cost anything. And then look at that. We have another perfect Guy orb change hand. And now I use the 0 cost skills, because I am a smart person this turn. So, that's 2 turns, full hands of blues. We've got, a good amount of stacking coming from Violet now between this turn and the previous turn. Every time we use Blanc's second skill, it increases the amount of ult gauge we get on these orbs. Well, any orb, but primarily blues, because that's what we're stacking with. And then with this hand, we can work with this. We have enough points. Unfortunately, we kind of get sealed here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to send Blanc away, right? I've got an ult gauge charm for her, so we're rushing her ult every single turn, by 16%, or every single time we use Violet by 16%. And now, we're going to use, 1 stack each of her skills, because we have enough points. We'll take her out, and because we haven't used Misery or Guy's orb changes yet, or Misery or Diablo's, they're cheap. So we can full hand this convert. If we can convert, oh my Jesus Christ, we can convert this full hand. I've talked way too much today, apparently. Alright, so turn 3 is done. The bind is done. We don't have to worry about that. Misery can swap both of these ults away, so we can use the Guy orb change here. And we could swap this. Alright, cool. We can now bring Blanc in for Guy, use Violet, and then we still have enough points to swap Blanc's ult away, and then use some of her buffs still. Like, 1 each. So there we go. We're looking pretty good. We're almost to turn 5, which is the quote-unquote nuke turn. We now have the EX ult for Blanc as well, which is great. That's why we're running the ult rush charm, because I need her ult very quickly. And now, we take that hit. Diablo's looking a little low, but it doesn't really matter because we're gonna end the fight here. So we're going to bring Guy in for Misery. We'll use his alt buff because the guaranteed crits is better than that extra 20% alt damage that John is doing. So we're not going to worry about that. I am going to worry about John's second skill, which is the EX alt buff for Primal Demons and Space Resistance Down, which are two nuking characters right here, are Space. And then we're going to use the physical buff and guaranteed Pierce, so we can activate the Pierce power that Blanca's been stacking up herself. And then we'll send these orbs, and Diablo does 147, and Blanc does 1.2 million, which is more HP than he had to start with. So, turn 5, you can definitely get it done if you're running the Alt Rush Charm and get some extra power out of her. But, you know, Primal Demons are a pretty good team. Maybe a little bit too restricted, though, for my taste, but it's still a good team. Alright, the final team for today's video. I'm going to make a part 2 because I've got about 3 more clips to show off, but I don't want to make this video too long. We're going to use the Exalted Champions team. This is the 2.5 anniversary team. It's very good still, and it can do 1 million damage in, 4 or 5 turns. So Velzard, Veldora is on the bingo board, so is Rimuru, so that's 2 missions done. I know the Primal Demon team that we showed off before, it only had Diablo, but that's more like I just want to beat it and not worry about these extra little coins. So this one is a little bit better. Veldora is free to play. If you don't have this specific Rimuru, I mean, you can bring a different Rimuru. It doesn't really matter. You can bring frickin' Space Rimuru for all I care. But, we're going to use the Exalted Champions team, so he's here. And then Guy, the Masked Hero, and then Milim is our primary nuker. She's very powerful. Even though we're going to be missing her weakness strike, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so we actually use Milim's gimmick, the free alt that you get to send and you get to keep your alt gauge. We're going to use that to great effect here. So turn 1, we're fishing for a good hand of greens here, like this, so we can just send it. And then we're going to leave Milim and Hero in the back because I want to steal 3 orbs into 6 for Milim using the Hero. So we'll send it as is. I don't really care about who's got what orbs. And as long as we can get at least 3 orbs for somebody up front, we're looking good. So Veldora will use his green buff, and then send him away for the Hero, who's going to steal and make a whole hand, and then we'll bring Milim in for her, and this will give us, not quite the EX ult, but it'll get us pretty close, because we're going to use the Guy Alt Rush. And by pretty close, I mean we're going to get it, because now we have a full hand of buffed greens. If it was just the buffed greens, it would be a little bit shy. But we've rushed the ult with Guy, so we're good. So now we have the EX ult, which is great. But we're going to get binded in here. And it's like, oh no, what do we do? Right? He binds Milim, he binds Guy. Oh, crap. What will we ever do about this? Well, we can just use Milim's gimmick. Costs 0 ult gauge to use her ult. And actually, orbs you send will give her more ult gauge. So if I didn't have the EX already, we could use it now. So we'll use that. We'll use another stack of the Alt Rush just to get more synergy resistance down because we have the points for it. And then we'll send this entire hand and not really worry about it because we're going to get Guy's ult back. We're going to keep Milim's EX ult. So 69k, nice. Not that much damage, but hey, we sent a full hand, which is more important. And now, on turn 4, we're ready to nuke. We're ready to nuke. We don't have that many more buffs to use, right? We just need the synergy power, the Milim buff, and Rimuru, and that's not 130 points. Right? So there we go. And we've got Velzard, who's going to give us the element buff plus the Drago effect, which is going to enhance our buffs and make our entire hand green. So we'll send Guy and Rimuru first, because they have ult effects. And then, yeah, we'll watch this ult, because actually it's a good-looking ult. I just never see it. So, bear with me. He doesn't do that much damage, but he's setting up for Milim and her EX ult. So 88k, and then Milim does 592, which leaves us down to the 200% orb, but it is enough. And even if we didn't kill there, I mean, we're going to live next turn, and we could have just sent something else. But there we go. There is the Exalted Champions team. 4 different teams you can use to clear the Heavenly Conquest event against Veldora. I know these are not the most free-to-play friendly teams, but honestly, trying to make a hodgepodge of teams has been a huge pain in the ass. Because if you don't have like a really, really good team that doesn't have, you know, the type advantage coming from the Protector to give you that extra damage buff, doing 1,000,000 for a bunch of old characters is actually kind of hard. So I apologize that these teams are not, you know, catered to the everyday player, but I'm hoping at least, you know, you have some kind of meta. We will come back with a part 2 for this video to show off a couple more that I've found and had to record to get some of the other missions. The Soe bingo mission will be in that clip, in that video tomorrow. But let me know your thoughts. If you have any other teams you can use to clear this, let me know in the comments below. Also remember that I do have 3 other videos I've done on this when it originally came out in January. Their links will be in the video description. If these teams don't work for you, maybe those ones will. But that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.